Hello everyone and welcome back to the lecture series C++ for beginners. We will be starting with a new module today, variables, data types and operators. So what is a variable? A variable is like a box in the memory with a name where you can store a value. Variable declaration is telling the computer what kind of box you want. And initialization, like variable initialization, is putting the first value, the very first value inside the box that you just created. So let me define a variable and initialize it. So this is the first program that we wrote the other day. So I'm going to rewrite it here. Suppose let me write int here. So this is an integer variable. Next we will write here equals 2025 semicolon. So this line here is the declaration. So I let my compiler know that the variable here is an integer variable. And in the next line, I am initializing the variable with the value 2025, meaning the first value of the variable here is 2025. You could have also written it in this way, just to minimize your code. This would also be correct. Oh, yeah, semicolon. So you can see here, they are not giving me any error because declaration and initialization can also be done in the exact same line. So that would not be a problem. Okay. Next, we have data types. So here's a table which will give you the brief idea of data types. Let me read it out. So these are the 5 data types in C++: int, float, double, char, and bool. So these are the examples. Int age is equal to 20 semicolon. Float pi is equal to 3.14 f. Double g is equal to 9.81. Char grade is equal to a. Bool is true. Is true is the name of variable, is equal to true. So these are the sizes of the variables, like the boxes that are contained in the memory of your machine. These are the sizes of these boxes. So what is a byte? Now, a byte is a unit for digital storage in your computer. So every data type uses some number of bytes in your computer. So 1 byte is basically equal to 8 bits, bits. So a bit is the smallest unit of data. Like it is either 1 or 0. So that is the smallest. You can't have anything smaller than the bit. Okay. So that's how it is. Like electron is the smallest particle, right? You cannot break electron down into anything else. So the bit is also something similar. Meanwhile, a byte is something like an atom. Like atom does not only have electrons, it also has different things, right? Protons and neutrons and everything. But 8 bits make up a byte. And int has a size of 4 bytes. Float also has a size of 4 bytes. Double has the maximum size of 8 bytes. Char and bool occupy 1 byte each in your system. So what is the meaning of these data types? int stands for integers or whole numbers. As you can see here, there are no floating point numbers here. Float stands for, like float and double, both of them stands for decimal numbers or floating point numbers. But they are different in a way that float is less precise than double. Which means that double can store more number of digits than float can. You can see, like, that is why double has a greater memory size than float does. And there's also this difference that when you are defining anything as float, you can or cannot use f at the end. Okay. Like this is not necessary to use, but yeah, you can, like, if you want to differentiate between a float and double variable, you can use f after you declare a float variable. Initialize the float variable. That can be done, but it's not necessary. So yeah, the main difference is basically the memory size and the precision or accuracy. Okay. So okay, I'll show you an example of this. Let me finish talking about the other two. So char occupies 1 byte in the memory, and char can only store a single character. So it can be used for grades or blood group or something like that. So it can only store a single character, not more than that. You cannot write something like AB. that is not possible here. You can just write A, and that should be within single quotes. So this is a necessity. You cannot initialize char grade equals A without single quotes. For all the other data types, you can just write the values that you want to initialize them with, all the other variables, I mean. But for grade variable, you have to use quotes. And for bool, this variable can only have two values, that is true or false. So is true is the name of variable, and this variable has the value of true. So obviously, like, it only contains it can only occupy one byte, because true is it's like, it's not taken as a character. Like, obviously, when you are typing true, you are using TRUE, which are 4 characters if you think about it. But since we are not using quotes here, true is just one value. True and false, no matter the number of letters they contain, like the words true and false contain, they are still one value since we are not writing them within quotes. Okay, let me show you the example of a float and double. Float, say A, F or F. F, and let me write some decimal number. 6 point. I'm just randomly. Okay. Next we'll have double D. Yeah, same thing. Okay, yeah. So I already got the predictive text, which is why I did not have to type it out. But this is what I wanted to type, and you can see here there's this thing called endl. So endl stands for end line. It is like, it is used with cout to tell the cursor to move to the next line. Like, it's more like, if it was in your hand, if it was any other task that the user could have performed, it would be like pressing enter the way you do it. But you want the compiler to perform it for you. That is why I'm using endl here. You would see what it does. So I'm going to save it and I'm going to run it. I'm using mail here because it's shorter. I compiled it. It got compiled. And I will run it now. Okay, I'll press some other digits here, like random digits, something like this, and I'll paste this same value here, save it, and I'll run it again. And I think you remember, like I told you, you don't have to type the compiling command and the running command again and again. You can just use the upwards arrow at the right bottom side of your keyboard. So it got compiled, and I run it. Okay, somehow I don't know why it's cutting off the whole thing, even for double. Um, it is not supposed to be like this. It's supposed to give me the whole value. Okay, let me, I don't think that will make any difference though. Basically what I mean is the output for double is supposed to show you the entire thing, okay? But it's giving you the same result, right? I don't know what the issue is, but this is not supposed to be this is not the intended result that is supposed to be shown. Um, I'll get back to you and I'll figure it out. Okay, I cannot think of anything that might be wrong with the code. Okay, so let's move on for now. We studied about data types, int, float, double, and char and bool. Let me see. Let's see what else is there. Next, we have operators in C++. So there are arithmetic operators, assignment operators, relational operators, which are used for comparison, and logical operators. So in today's class, we will talk about arithmetic operators and assignment operators only. So I'll show you what they do in a program. I'll do it in the same one. Okay. So let's say int x equals 10, not 20. Say 3. 3, okay. Yeah, wow, nice. But I don't want it this way. I'll say div equals x by y. This is integer division. They are giving this to you in the comments. So the result of integer division is this one. But you can also write it this way. You do not necessarily need to have a special um you like I defined the variable int div here, but you may or may not do it. That entire depends on you. So int div is equal to x by y. This stands for integer division, and this will give you the quotient of the division. Okay, not the remainder. This will give you the quotient. So result of the integer division is this one, but the next line will also give you the same result. So here x by y is basically this one, but I am not saving it into a variable. I am doing the calculation in the print statement itself. So this can also be done. Okay. And this is basically a arithmetic operator. And another arithmetic operator can also be this one. Yes, this is what I meant. So yeah. So this is modulus operation, and this will give you the remainder of the division. So x by y will give you the quotient, and x modulus y or percentage y will give you the remainder of the division. Okay. For both of them, you are dividing, but the results are different. And then again, in the next line, they are predicting this one that you do not need to save x percentage y into mod. You can just do it here and get the result. We also have like simple things like int sum. This is just addition, and this will give you the result as this one. You can also have difference, which will give you this one and then the result. And you have multiplication and the result as well. So these are the arithmetic operators. Next, I will tell you about casting, typecasting. Okay, this was integer division, right? So if we were to have floating point divisions, right? Okay, so this is floating point division, and okay, so here we have integer division, and I told you the result for integer division will give you the integer here, which will be 3 in this case. But here I am doing something else. I'm declaring a variable double div 2, which is converting the variable x, which is 10, into a double variable. Like the integer variable is getting converted to double, and then we are performing a division, which is giving me the floating point division. And in this case, I think the result will be 3.33 something. So here we will get a floating point result, a floating point remainder, sorry, quotient. Okay. So this here that I did here, double inside brackets, and then I had x. This is called explicit type casting. Like sometimes you need to convert from one type to another. Like in this case, I do not want the remainder or the quotient. I instead want the floating point quotient here after the division. So this is why I am typecasting x into the floating point part, and it is automatically giving me a double result. At some time, there are also certain implicit type conversion, which is something you are not like. Suppose we have another variable here, say said. say Z equals 4.5, and I am having something like this double sum 2 is equal to x plus z. Let me do it, x plus z. So here you will see we will get 14.5. Okay. Like this is a mixed type addition. And here, like x and z, sorry, this is supposed to be double. So x is integer, but z is double. And the sum is double, which is why when you get the result, x will be converted to double as well. Like we will get 10.5, 14.5 here. But I'm not using double here. Like I'm not explicitly asking for the compiler to convert it into double, but it does it anyway. This is known as implicit type conversion, and here the user has nothing to do here. Like the compiler understands that here implicitly you have to convert the type, and it does it. So this was all about our arithmetic operators. Next, we will talk about assignment operators. Okay, before that, let me talk about constants. Suppose there are certain variables which you want to be fixed for the entire run of the program. Okay. For that case, you can do it this way. Say, yeah. So this is a constant variable. Uh, in the, double. Next line, if I am doing something like, something like this, they are already telling you that this would give you an error, but we will show you. When I run the program, I'll show you. So basically, constant double pi is a constant for the entire run of your program. You cannot change it. You cannot add anything to it. You cannot multiply anything to it. You can use it in arithmetic operations. You can, like, suppose you want to calculate area, you can do it using pi, but you cannot change pi itself. That cannot be done. So next we have assignment operators. One assignment operator you're already familiar with, which is equal to. Single equal to is used to assign certain values to any variable. So basically equal to here means that integer variable x has the value of 10. An integer variable y has the value of 3. Double variable z has the value of 4.5. So this is a very common like some assignment operator that you have to use in every program. Like this is like a must. Like there are like if you're only printing your name, that is the only program where you are not required to use the equal to operator. So this is the most commonly used in them and the operator that you're familiar with even without finding about it yet. So yeah, so this is an assignment operator. There are others which are say y plus. So this is known as compound assignment, and you can see what it does. Like here, this basically means y equals y plus 5. Okay. Similarly, y equals y minus 5. And yeah, let me print this value. In the next line, I would be like, I would use minus equals to 5. We will see what the value is. Okay. You can also do this with the multiplication operator as well. Let me just define some other value. 5. Yeah, and then we'll just a star. So you can also do this. Basically, this is compound multiplication. So I am like this is basically saying A star B. So the meaning of A star equals B is basically A equals to A star B. So the value of A, which was 5, will now be 50. So this is what it means. Yeah. So I think we are kind of done here. And also, like, since you can do it with multiplication, you can also do it with sorry, what is the issue here? Okay, yeah. So since you can do it with multiplication, you can also do it with division and modulus. Like all the arithmetic operators that we learned about here can be used before equal to for compound assignment, or like compound multiplication or compound addition or something. So arithmetic operators used before the equal to basically means that you are being like, suppose A is equal to A plus B, which has the same meaning as A plus equal to B. So let me run it and we'll get an error because of the pi thing, but let's go anyway. Here you can see an error because I have mentioned that pi is a constant, but I tried to change the value again, so we are getting the error. So let me comment out this line. Let us save it. Okay, I have already written return 0 here, which I will have to remove. Return 0 can only be written once. I will have to write a semicolon here. Now my code is correct, and let's see. Let's see our results. Okay, so this is a bit short, I guess. I hope this is visible. Yeah, so you see, the float and double part, I will get back to you right in the next lecture when I figure out what's wrong with it. But you see, the result of integer division, our first one was when we used a variable called div to store the value of integer division, and then we used to print it. We got the result 3. And when we calculated the result in the output line itself, in the print statement itself, we still got the same result. Like, we are not using a separate variable in this case. We are just displaying our value and calculating it in the same line. So that is also going to give us the same result, and it kind of saves time, right? For such a smaller task like this, you do not need an extra variable or an extra line for that matter, right? So this is how you can like shorten your code. Next, we have floating point division. And the floating point division, like I had said, we have the result 3.33 something. And here also, like since we uh, performed explicit typecasting here and we converted x to a double variable, which was originally an integer variable, which is why we have gotten a floating point number here. So, yeah. So, this is the floating point division. And this is mostly the division that we perform in calculators nowadays, right? So, calculators give you this result. Next, we have sum, right? Yeah, so I said, so here x is an integer variable, z is a double variable, sum2 is also a double variable, but we did not use explicit typecasting here. Implicitly, the type of x variable was converted to double because we wanted a mixed type addition, and the result we got is 14.5 here. Next, we have modulus operation. And here we have the remainder for the division of x by y, and which is 1 here. And in the same line, we are performing the same operation in the line itself and we are getting the same result. Then we have sum here, which is giving us 13. Then we have subtraction here, difference, which is giving us 7. Then we have multiplication, which is giving us 13. So these are pretty simple ones. Then we have our constant pi, and like you can just print it out and literally give you the same value and the value cannot be changed. And we saw the error that we were given when we tried to change the value. Next, we have compound assignment operator. So here we are doing y plus 5 equals y is equal to y plus 5. Y previously had the value of 3. Then after compound assignment, y has the value of 8. So here you can see it is what I had told you it would be. It is basically y equals to y plus 3. Next, we are performing y equals to y minus 5. And this is giving you the exact same result as this. Like, oh, sorry, I forgot to print it, right? I was supposed to print this one as well. Let me save it again and run it again. So yeah, we will compound assignment. We are here with 8. Then we are performing it in the clearly in the way that you can clearly understand y is equal to y minus 5. We are not using any compound subtraction here. But and here we are getting the result 3. Like 8 minus 5 gives us 3. In the next line, we are performing compound subtraction. We are using the shorthand y minus equals 5, which also means y equal to y minus 5. And here we are getting minus 2. So 3 minus 5 gives us minus 2. So you can see this, both of them have the same meaning. This is just a shorter way to write it. And it's kind of useful when you have say longer arithmetic formulae and you have to you'll find out in later lectures when you have certain formula, like I think you remember square root formula, the quadratic formula for square root. That is a pretty longer formula, but you can actually shorten it if you use compound assignments. So yeah, this is how they are used, and they are basically just like easier to type, right? And when you understand what they mean, they are not as confusing as they might seem right now. And next we have compound multiplication, and here a star equals b. This is going to give us 50, and yes, here we go 50. So a equals to a star b has the same meaning as a star equals b. So here we are done with assignment operators and arithmetic operators for now. Okay, so we are done with today's lecture, and I will get back to you about the float and double thing. But let's go for a recap now. So first we got familiar with variable declaration and initialization, how you can do it, like do both of them in the same line. Also, you can like separate them into two different lines. Then we learned about data types and their memory, how they work, what are their differences, and where and how you are supposed to use it. Then we learned about typecasting and constants. So typecasting are of two types. There are some implicit typecasting, which is something which is like not under the control of the user. This is something compiler does it on its own. And there are explicit typecasting, which lets you get your desired result. Like if you are explicitly typecasting, you sometimes get an integer. You can sometimes get a floating point division. While without the typecasting, you would have gotten an integer division result. So yeah. Next, we came to operators, and we learned that we have 4 different operators in C++ that are assignment operators, arithmetic operators, logical operators, and relational operators. But we saw how to use assignment and arithmetic operators today. We will check out logical operators and relational operators in the next class. And also we learned how I think this is something very confusing for most people, that is modulus and slash. Like one stands for slash, stands for integer division, or like division in general, the quotient of division basically, while modulus stands for the remainder of the same division. So one is giving you the quotient, one is giving you the remainder. In some operations, you might need to know the remainder of the uh, division that you just performed, where we can use modulus. So yeah, that's about it. Today we kind of did a lot more coding than we did previously. And if there's anything you are confused with, you can ask me in the comments below. Check out all the operators that we learned today, all the data types, try initializing them, try declaring them. You might get confused in some places, but like never give up on trying, right? And you can like play around with the assignment operators, with the arithmetic, like I said, the plus equal to minus equal to ones, you can like check them out and what all things you can perform with those things. And you can also get familiar with not having to declare and initialize a variable and just straight away performing the operation in the display statement itself, like we did in cout. Like you are using cout as like, suppose what we did here, right? Integer division x by y, less than x by y, less than endl. Oh, we also learned that endl is used to tell the cursor to move to the next line. And you can see here that the previously we used to have the cursor hovering around here, but now it's not there. We have a clean output here. So that is why we use endl. And that is also like because we are using endl, these two results are not in the same line. If we were not using endl, we may have gotten the two results in the same line, which is not desirable, right? It kind of looks messy. So we don't want that for our program. So yeah, play around with whatever you learned today and check out the data types, check out the variable declarations, check out the operations that you can do. You can perform simple additions or simple formulae that you know of, like area, you can just perform it, pi, you can like set pi is constant and pi star r, you can have some value for r and like print it out. You can try something like circumference 2 pi r, that can also be done. 2 star pi star r, you cannot just write 2 pi r here, you have to put 2 star pi star r, that can also be done. It's pretty simple. um yeah, so that is about it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope you guys understood it. Like we, like I said, we learned kind of a lot today. So you have to practice it. Otherwise, we kind of get confused and you may not be able to like, you know, pick up where we left off in the next lecture. So that should not be happening, right? So yeah, that's all for now. All the best and good luck coding. And until next time, bye bye.